Okay, most people will talk about how you can go out on the internet and make money, but do they ever reverse engineer a plan, a business model that's actually viable, that you can actually utilize step by step on how to go out and implement? We have a 5-year business model that teaches you how to resume up and how to go in starting out buying land, building houses. And I want you guys to compare this to 5 years in college. Because if you go in and you spend 5 years in college, typically you're gonna spend over $250,000 in tuition, fees, housing, to be able to go out and facilitate a $60,000 a year job, which is the amount of money that the average college student makes after their first year of graduating from college. And one of the big things is we've been teaching people how to buy land, build houses for many years now. And once we graduate them from building houses, we typically scale them up into multifamily. Now with banking the way it is today, going into large multifamily can be extremely challenging for new people entering into the sector. So because of that, we have a 5-year business model that teaches you how to resume up and how to go in starting out buying land, building houses. And I want you guys to compare this to 5 years in college. Because if you go in and you spend 5 years in college, typically you're gonna spend over $250,000 in tuition, fees, housing, to be able to go out and facilitate a $60,000 a year job, which is the amount of money that the average college student makes after their first year of graduating from college, which is under the national median income of $90,000 a year. So palate that for just a moment as I go in and I explain to you guys an earn while you learn business model on how to buy land, build houses, and in 5 years you can scale and be making over $1 million every single year if you implement these simple 5 steps that we're gonna go over today. So let's start off with year number 1. If you implement this 5-year strategy and you start implementing it today, let's go over this 5-year strategy starting with year number 1. So year number 1, you come in and you learn how to buy land and build one house. Now, here's what's cool when you work with us. We don't charge you guys an annual renewal. We don't have you guys invest in an annual renewal every single year. One of the things that we do is we say, once you're a part of our community, you're indefinitely a part of our community. So as you come in, you work with us, we teach you guys, you could be a slow learner, you could be a fast learner. If you want to start at year number 2 and you want to start at year number 3 as your first year, for those of you guys that are more experienced, you can do so. But if you want to just come in and just understand the process, and even if it takes you an entire year just to feel comfortable understanding the process of building a house for a 6-figure profit, here's what it looks like. Year number 1, you build one house. Now, this house right here, you're gonna land up making about $150,000. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's say this house is selling in an average median area at $300 a square foot, and the house is 2,400 square feet, okay? So if we have a 2,400 square foot house times $300 a square foot, that's $720,000 resale price. Now, here's what this house looks like. You go in, it's 2,400 square feet. Let's say that you spend $120,000 on just the land alone. So if you go in, you spend $120K, that's the land, okay? Now, on this, if you look at the national average on what it takes to be able to build a house as far as cost, it's about $150 a square foot. Now, that's a nice home. So if you go in, you do $150 times 2,400 square feet, that's approximately $360,000 in build cost. Now, here's the thing. That covers your soft costs typically on your architecture, engineering. That covers your dirt work, your vertical construction, and the full finished construction of your entire house. So this $360,000 covers your vertical build cost, your soft cost, your architecture, your engineering, and everything it takes to get you to the finish line, your vertical build. It does not cover your closing costs, and it doesn't cover your land cost. So your land needs to be in there. Your build cost needs to be in there. Now your closing costs. Typically you're gonna pay 3% to the buyer's broker, 3% to the selling broker, plus you have about a 1.5% closing cost to the title or escrow company or escrow attorney. So if you take $720K, say 720, multiply this times 7.5%, that's your closing cost. You can take 720 times 0.075, 7.5%, that's $54,000, and that's gonna be your closing cost. Now, we have debt service. We don't have debt service on our closing costs because our closing costs, we don't have those expenses until the day we close. What we do have cost on is we have cost on this right here. Now, typically, your interest typically graduates with your build, which means when you go out and you get your first draw on your loan and you pays off your land, you have the debt service on the $120,000 immediately. And that debt service stays with you month after month until you finish the build. So if the build takes you 6 months, you're gonna have debt service for 6 months. If the build takes you 9 months, you're gonna have the debt service on the land for 9 months. Now, when you have this $360,000, this graduates with the actual build, which means that when you go out and you have your foundation poured, if that's only $30,000, you only have interest payment on the $30,000, not the $360,000. Then the next month you might have your framers come in, you have your lumber pack dropped, you have your framing costs, maybe you have another $50,000 in expenses. Now you have debt service on the foundation, plus you have the debt service on the framing work, about $80,000. Now you have probably some plumbing in there, so maybe you're at $100,000 on your debt service by month number 3. Now you're gonna have electrical, mechanical rough-ins, plus plumbing top-outs. So you might be into this for about $130,000, $140,000, 3 moving into month number 4. So the debt service will graduate over the course of the growth of the loan as the build actually starts to facilitate. So let's just take, for example, that it just all gets paid out at one time and your debt service is on the full amount of money. What does that look like even if it takes you 1 year to build that house and sell it? So if you have $360,000 plus $120,000 and you have an 8% interest rate, that's $38,000. Now typically when we have $38,000, because it graduates, we'll typically take 50% of the debt service, knowing that it's going to graduate over the course of time. So divided by 2. That's about $20,000 in debt service. Now, the average person that's building the houses typically is servicing their debt at under $10,000 for the entire build. But let's say, for sake of example, yours is double and you're paying $20,000 in debt service. Here's what your profits look like. So if you have debt service of $20K, this is our expenses here. So if we go in, we have $120K plus $360K plus $54,000 plus $20K, that's $554,000. So all our expenses is $554,000, okay? That's our expenses. Now we take this number and we take our sales price. So we take our sales price of $720 minus the $554 of expenses. Our profit is equal to, we take our $720, $166,000. That's your profit. Now, if it takes you 1 year to go out, buy land, build a house, this is what your expense breakdown looks like. This is your profit at $166,000. Ladies and gentlemen, what if you just came in, it took you an entire year to make $166,000? Now, this is year number 1. We still have 4 years to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me explain something to you guys right now. Is that in your first year of college, you're gonna be in debt. You're gonna either be working or siphoning money from the federal government in subsidized or unsubsidized loans, or getting money from mom and dad. Over here, you could come in, you can go get a bank loan, doing either an owner build or hire a general contractor, and you can actually go in and facilitate a full construction build, and you can buy land and build a house. Now, even if you hired a general contractor and they charged you $50,000 to build that house, you're still gonna make $116,000 net profit, even hiring a general contractor to build this for you, while you even go to college if you want to, and you can do this on the side part-time. And now, if it even takes you 1 year, you're earning while you're learning and you're still making a 6-figure profit. So for those of you guys that are more sophisticated, sitting back going, yeah, but I'm a dentist and I already make $500,000 a year as a dentist because I own my own practice, or I'm a physician, or I own my own plumbing company, or I own my own electric company, or my painting company, and I'm already doing over $1 million a year in business, and I'm making strong 6 figures, or even $1 million a year. My question to everybody, even if you do well financially, how will $100,000+ added to your income change your life? Does it make a positive impact? And the answer for anybody making money, doesn't matter at what level, $100,000 does impact the bottom line of what you make, because it increases the quality of life. That money can either be utilized to be able to live on. This money could be utilized for long-term asset growth, investments, so that you can park this money in long-term assets. This money is money that can be utilized, that can change your life and help you build wealth forever. Now, let's take a look at, if you take this money And now you duplicate this into year number 2, because I'm going to tell everybody that's watching right now that the hardest thing to do is not to build the house. The hardest thing to do is build the very first house. And the reason why is not because building a house is complicated. It's because of the mental setback that most people have sitting back thinking that they don't have the ability to build it, and it's an inferiority complex, not an ability. There's houses being built, thousands upon thousands of them every single year. And most of the contractors building them, if you meet them, are not that sophisticated, not that smart, and they're making a massive profit. And I know that one thing about my audience is that most of you guys are pretty damn intelligent people that are coming in that can figure this out very modestly. And if you go in and you build your very first house, in spite of how hard it is mentally, once you get to your first house, the first thing you're going to say to me is say, Jerome, I came in, I felt like I wasted my time building my very first house because I only built one. I should have built 2 at the exact same time like you teach us to do. Because when you go in, you're building one house, you don't sit back and watch the framers frame. It takes about 10 hours a week on your first build. And here's what your 10 hours looks like. You go in, let's say you stop by that build once a day, 5 days a week, and you spend 1 hour there. You walk that house for 1 hour, you look at what's wrong with the drywall, you look at maybe what's repositioned incorrectly with the plumbing, you land up going in, you make phone calls. You leave that job site after you spend an hour writing a punch list of what needs to be done, fixed, modified, and you're going to spend another hour scheduling people, calling people to fix and repair stuff, and then you're going to go in and start looking for your next build. And so if you spend 2 hours a day facilitating this, 5 days a week, that is more than most people building houses spend building one single family home. Now imagine if you have 2 of these right down the road from each other, right next door to each other. Now how long does it take? It takes the exact same 10 hours. And you yourself can build them with 0 employees. That's what's cool about it. So year number 2, let's say that you hammer down the process. As you're finishing this build, you go and tie up a couple lots, and you start working at the beginning of year number 2 to build 2 houses. And you get so good at it by the 6th month of year number 2, you actually even start working on a 3rd one. So on year 2, you go in and you build 3 houses. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you went out and you made $150K versus the 160 times 3, that's $450,000 in profit. You could take this, and I always ask people, how many of you guys spend $450,000 a year on yourselves? Meaning you go buy a new car, new house, you take exotic vacations, you send your kids to private school, and you're just flushing $450,000 down the drain every single year. And the answer to that is very few people, if any at all, right? Most people don't spend this. If you have independent wealth and you have the ability to spend that, if you're like Money Mayweather and you're sitting out buying big fat watches, big fat cars, and you're traveling the world, you're spending more than that. But for the average median person, $450,000 is a lot of money to spend all in 1 year. But let's say that you take half of that and you spend 200 grand in the entire year, living a good quality lifestyle, plus you're doing something else full time. Because I always tell people, year number 2, don't quit your job. Why? It's only going to take you 10 hours a week to do this. What are you doing the rest of your expendable time? Getting in trouble, doing things you're not supposed to be doing, or spending money you're not supposed to be spending. So get to work, go back, earn 100 grand a year, doing whatever you do professionally right now. Go in and make this $450,000. If you siphon $100,000 out for yourself, you still have $350,000 left over to reinvest. Now, you take that money, year number 3, okay, year 3. Most of you guys are sitting back going, Jerome, how do I get to the passive game? How do I get out of the active game? Because this is active income. And year number 3 is where you play both the active and passive income game. Let's say that in year number 3, you build 4 homes. You build 2 in the first front of the month, the first 6 months, 2 on the back end of the 6 months, and you build 4 homes. So you go in, you do 4 homes, and with those 4 homes, you're making $150,000 on every single home. Okay, so that's a total of $600K net profit. Now, we go in, we build these 4 homes, but not only do we build the 4 homes, we go out and we build a 4-plex. So it's a total of 6 units in year number 3. You go out and you build a duplex. You permit this, you get a loan on this, just as you do a single family residential dwelling. And here's what's cool about this, is that you can keep it or sell it. You can finance these individually, And you could condo them off, meaning that you could split them in half and you could sell them individually with different parcels for property tax purposes as independent properties, or you can keep them as one property, parcel them out as one property, and rent them, lease them, and keep them. Now, typically, if you have a duplex, inexpensive rent is going to be someplace in the neighborhood of at least $2,000 to $2,500 a month. That's about $4,000 in passive residual income. That's $48K a year in passive income. Now, ladies and gentlemen, not only did you make $600,000, you own an asset that's probably worth someplace in the neighborhood of about $600 to $800K. Let's call it $700K on your bottom line. Plus, you're making this. So you're making almost $650,000 a year. Year number 3, you have passive income. What does year number 4 and year number 5 look like? Because ladies and gentlemen, what we're doing is we're helping you resume up. Because every year that you get bigger, every year, as small as the changes are, you're resumeing up. You're increasing where you were. Now, you got to think about this in perspective to college, right? Because where are you in year number 3 in college? Maybe you're taking some core curriculum classes. Maybe you're working in the study that you're actually going to migrate to and graduate from in your college of science, engineering, education, whatever your degree's in. Year number 3, you're barely starting to get into your core curriculum classes and you still haven't earned a penny. All you've done is graduate into another $100,000 of debt every single year. So when you're buying land, building houses, now you're making over $600,000 a year in year number 3. And some people sit back and go, yeah, Jerome, but it takes so long. It's going to take me 3 to 5 years. What else do you have going in your life today that you know is a tangible business, a real business? Not like an NFT where you're going to make money one time for a few months, a year, and then you have none of the income potential that you did when it first started. It's not like Bitcoin where you hit a surging rise up and then all of a sudden the income falls out of the bottom end and you have nothing. It's not like the stock market where you're day trading and then all of a sudden something happens with war or economically when Lehman Brothers collapse and all your money gets flushed down and forced sold when you're day trading. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a true viable business that you can do today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. And you can pass off the wisdom, the knowledge, and the information to the next generation that this can last forever. Because there's one guarantee in life. We're always going to have a need for housing, for rooftops over our head. When I graduated high school, ladies and gentlemen, there was 4 billion people on this earth. In 30 years, we are now at just shy of 8 billion people on this earth, which means that the population doubled in 30 years. And the population is not decreasing right now, ladies and gentlemen. It continues to increase. So if we doubled our population in 30 years since I graduated high school, where's our population going to be in the next 30 years when you're going out and you're getting to the tail end of your career and the generation behind you is waiting, willing, and aggressively desiring to go in and buy land, build houses, and scale the exact same business model that you started today. Because one guarantee that there's going to be is that we're going to need rooftops to house the additional population that is entering this earth. So year number 4, as slow as you might feel this is, you're crushing it. You're making money. You're in the top 1/10 of 1% of all money earners since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of Adam and Eve, you're generating capital that 1/10 of 1% of the world only generates. And that's you in year number 3, moving into year number 4. So let's say that all you do is you build the exact same quantity of homes that you built in year number 3 and just added one more to it. Okay? So you go in. Now you have to hire an admin. You're going to pay them about $60,000 to $70,000 a year because you're going to hire a good admin. And now you're going to go in, you're going to hire a superintendent. You're going to pay them $80,000 to $100,000 a year with the potential for bonuses. So let's say you're paying them $100,000 a year. When I got started in this industry and I did this, I sat back and said, okay, I have to build one house every year to afford my superintendent, which in those days was actually making closer to about $65,000, and my admin was making closer to about $40,000, $35,000. So it cost me about $100 and some thousand a year. One house bared the profitability to be able to pay for both of them. So you have to add a minimum of one house to your portfolio. So now we sit back and we go, okay, Building two houses is it's every 6 months is really simple. What if we just go in and instead of just duplicating what we did in year number 3, what if we just added 2 houses to the mix? And all we did is we built 6 houses, 3 on the first 6 months of the year, and then 3 on the back end of the tail end of the other 6 months of the year. So we go in and we build 6 homes. Okay, now 6 homes times $150,000 is how much? It's $900,000 a year in net income, is it not? So you take 6 times 150. That's going to be $900,000 net profit. Now, we have year number 3 where we had $48,000 in passive income. Okay? In passive income. Now, this is from year 3. Now, we have year 4. We're going to go out, we're going to build a 4-plex now. So we're going to go out, we're going to build a 4-unit 4-plex. This thing probably has 2 stories in it. Okay, so we build a 4-plex. We just have 2K, 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 2K. That's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. 8,000, that's going to be $92,000 a year, passive income. That's 92K, passive income, plus the $48,000. Ladies and gentlemen, you're making $140,000 a year passively. And now you have an asset right here that's worth $1 million at the very least. So this is worth over $1 million, probably closer to about 1.2 or $1.3 million. You're making this per year. This right here is paying for your superintendent and your admin. You haven't even tapped into this $900,000. You're paying your admin, you're paying their salary off of your passive income. So now you don't even have to think about paying them because your assets are paying your passively for your employees for you. Well, you go out, you build houses, now you're scalable because now with these 2 employees, you can move into year number 5. So if we move into year number 5, what does year number 5 look like, ladies and gentlemen? Let's take a look at it. Now you've built a 4-plex, you're resumeing up. This is a residential loan. You could still go into the bank and get a residential loan on this. Right here, you're getting a line of credit because now you're becoming a sophisticated builder. So you're not getting individual construction loans. Now you're getting a line of credit as a builder to be able to go out and build these homes. So now you have an ongoing revolving line of credit as a builder that you're utilizing. You don't have to go into that bank and sit down and get a construction loan on every single home anymore. Because now in year number 4, guess what you did? You've resumed up. The banks are recognizing you, you're recognizing it, your customers are recognizing it, your income is recognizing it, and in year number 4, ladies and gentlemen, you're getting your college degree. You've resumed up. You got your line of credit, now you're getting a residential loan on a 4-plex. What does this position you for in year number 5? Now think about it this way. Where are you in college year number 4? Let's say you're incredible at all your studies. Year number 4, you're graduating and you go out into the workplace and you're making that solid $60,000 a year that 80% of college graduates get when they graduate from college. $60,000 a year is what over 80% of college graduates make their very first year out of college. How are you doing financially year number 4? Buying land, building houses. So when people sit back and they say, Jerome, God, this is a 5-year business model. God, it takes forever. I can't believe it's going to take me 5 years to make $900,000 a year and over $1 million with your passive income, hiring 2 employees that your passive income is paying for you. And now you graduate in to commercial institutional assets that banks are recognizing because you have resumed up out of the residential sector. So let's say you just go in, you build the same 6 homes, but you add a 10-plex to that. So in year number 5, you build 6 homes. You make $900K, and now you got a 2-story build. You got some steps going up, right? You got some steps going up in here with your rails, and you're coming in, you got your balconies, you got 1, 2, 5 units, 1, 2, 3, 5 units. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a property that's worth over $3 million asset. Now, you have year number 2 where you have 48K. You have 92K, year number, so this is year 2. Well, that's actually year 3. This is year 4. And now you have over $20,000 a month. That's over $220K per year, year 5. Okay? So now, you have the exact same admin, you have the exact same superintendent. Nothing's changed. They're getting paid out of this, but now in total passive income, ladies and gentlemen, you have $140,000 plus you have 2, 3, 1, that's, what is that? $360,000 passive income. An asset that's worth $3 million, another asset that's worth over $1 million, and you have another asset that's worth that's worth about $600,000. So now you have a total asset base, your net worth with your assets, including your debt service on these, you have at least just shy of $5 million in assets that you own. And so you have about $5 million, so year number 5, you have a total of about approximately $5 million in assets. You have $360K per year in passive income, and you have over $900,000 that you're generating from active income. Now, what you do in year number 6 is what truly scales your entire business. You don't have to get any further than this. You could take the income here to collateralize to be able to build this asset. And on the next video that we do, we're going to show you guys how you scale from year number 5 into this 10-unit asset, utilizing active income without even raising a penny in capital. But here's what's cool. You can keep all your money, take this asset, and you can depreciate it. If this asset is worth $3 million, you can go in and do what's called cost segregation. You can depreciate this asset to 0. Everything minus the land. So if this land for this 10-unit apartment complex landed up costing you $200,000, you still have a $2.8 million tax write-off through cost segregation that you can get if you contact your CPA, your accountant, or your real estate attorney that does cost segregation. And this $900,000, you will pay $0 in federal income taxes legally. And so one of the things that I love most about this entire business model is not the fact that I'm going to make $900,000. It's not the fact that I'm going to make this $360,000. It's not the fact that I'm going to have a $3 million asset. It's the fact that I can make and earn all of that income and pay $0 in taxes and retain and keep 100% of my income through the means of depreciating my assets through cost segregation and crushing a $900,000 profit tax-free. Ladies and gentlemen, for more content just like this, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you see any value at all, smash that thumbs up button. Comment below if you're watching this on repeat, #repeat, and I'll see you guys next time so you can learn how to build a 10-unit apartment complex utilizing the buy land, build house method and resumeing up and scaling your long-term wealth.